Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Today is episode 50 of the Canadian Bowler Podcast. I'm joined here today by Daryl Fitzgerald, my wonderful co host, who needs to get his eyes checked because we're coming to a little bit later than we usually would because Daryl mistakenly had his calendar off and thought today was the Ontario Lawn Bowls Association AGM. So thanks, Daryl.
Oh man, it goes to show you, my wife is right. I need to put everything in my calendar, or I'm going to forget. I had myself convinced like the whole week that, Saturday was one thing. We were doing an interview, and then Sunday was the AGM, and then we do the show, and everything was great. And then this morning, I go to log in. I'm like, oh yeah, nothing's going on. I text Jake Shooknet because I knew he was going to be there, and he's like, listen, like it was yesterday. I'm just like, oh, I'm such a dumbass.
Yeah, you sent me a message this afternoon, and I have a pretty flexible schedule, and I was kind of like, oh, great. Could have done it our normal time, but I went a little later, so no big deal, though. We're here for episode 50. We're pretty excited about that. That's a bit of an accomplishment in our minds. We've been around for a while and sort of had our own thing, so 50 episodes, Daryl. What's your top moment we've had on the podcast here? Lots to think about, I guess.
Yeah, I've had a couple. I think the one of them is just the first episode with Ryan Bester being our very first guest. We call it the Canadian Bowler. We are Canadian. Canadians are known for being nice, and Ryan, being the true Canadian, when he heard that we were trying to kick off a show and wanted to get some interviews, he was like right on board to help us just kick off the show and get things started. So that was super special. To have arguably the best Canadian bowler that ever was to come on the show and help us kick it off. It was just awesome. One more is doing some videos and seeing them do really well. We're making stuff here. We're coming up with ideas between you, myself, and Luke, and when those ideas finally get into a video and we post it, and you're kind of just sitting there waiting, like, are people gonna like it? Are people gonna look at it? What's the viewership gonna be like? And some of them just took off. It's the best feeling in the world, really.
I guess looking in the chat there, Adam's reminded me, do our quick spiel here. So if you're watching the video today, reminder to like, comment, subscribe. So any sort of interaction we get is great for us. Just hit that subscribe button if you haven't before, because any sort of help we can get is obviously awesome for us. If you aren't able to catch it live, we do usually upload to YouTube within the day, so you can check this out after the fact. And then if you are a podcast person, you can also download this. We will be up on all major podcasting platforms, usually within a week or so of the show. So check us out there if you do the podcasts. So I guess we have a little bit of info to cover here today. It's actually been a pretty eventful last couple of weeks in lawn bowls. So we'll start out with, I guess we got the World Bowls Indoor Championships results to cover.
That's right. Really quite interesting. I had mentioned it in the last show that I thought it was really cool to see just a ton of countries out there doing their thing, seeing countries that I really didn't know had bowls, to be perfectly honest. I mean, there's some that I knew, but you don't really see, but then there's others that I had absolutely no idea that they would be actually part of it. And we had some really cool results. So I'll throw up a couple pictures here. Here we have the mixed pairs winner, Stuart Anderson from Scotland and Alison Marion from Guernsey. They defeated Mike Stephanie from Scotland and Claire Anderson from Scotland. Scotland's going to be a very common theme in these results, just so everybody is aware. And then we flip over to this one. We've got the two singles winners. So the men's singles is Mike Stephanie defeated Stuart Anderson. So they kind of flopped from the mixed pairs, both from Scotland. And then the women's singles, Julie Forrest from Scotland defeated Gloria Ha from Hong Kong. And I just wanted to make a point about this. If you weren't watching it and you didn't really know, Gloria Ha is, I believe, only 20 years old.
Wow.
from Hong Kong. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So I think they've definitely got a star on the making for Hong Kong.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize that until you put it in our notes that we had for the show here today that she was only 20 years old, because I watched the semifinals and the finals of both of them, just the sort of streams that people had from rinkside, and incredible that she performed that well for being 20 years old. That's a great performance from someone who's probably one of her first performances sort of on that international stage. So that's great for her.
Absolutely.
We did have some North American content in there. So we did have Canadians and some Americans that were part of the tournament. So Hiren Bartu from BC, he was in there for the singles. He went 3-0 in his group. He made it through to the knockout stage,
Really good.
where he ended up losing to the eventual champion, Mike Stepney from Scotland. So kind of an unfortunate little draw once you get out of the knockout stage, but good performance by Hiren. He's absolutely tremendous on the indoor, so that doesn't terribly surprise me. We also had Bobby Jean Charlton from BC as well. She went 1-2 in the group stage. So not quite good enough to get out, but still put up a pretty admirable performance. They were close games, it looked like, from the scores that they posted. They did team up for the mixed pairs, Bobby Jean and Hiren, and they went 2-1. And then with the mixed pairs format, if you don't win your group, it's not good enough to get out. So although they did pretty good at 2-1 there, they didn't get out of their group. Our American friends, we had Bill Brault. He went 1-2 in the group stage. So again, that wouldn't have been quite enough to get out of the group. And then Ann Nunez, she went 3-0 in the group stage, got out of her group, but then exactly like Hiren, drew the eventual champion Julie Forrest in the first round and ended up losing out. So very tough format, but admirable performances if you can get out of your group, and then if you lose to the eventual champion, there's not really much you can really do about that.
No, that's tough going. I mean, you go 3-0 in your group, you're probably on cloud nine. When I saw that Hiren actually did that, I mean, super impressed. I know he's phenomenal on the carpet. I haven't seen him play in quite some time, so it was really good to see him get out of there. But yeah, when you get out of your stage, you're on a super high, and then I mean, obviously you hit two buzzsaws like Julie and Mike, who just ran right through the singles right to the final. I mean, what are you gonna do? And it's one and you're done. That can be really, really tough as well.
Yeah, it is what it is, and with this type of a format, it doesn't terribly surprise me that you would kind of run into walls like that. But it's great that they got there, because it was what, 2 years of waiting, or I think over 2 years of waiting for them, because they would have won the championship probably in like late 2019, I guess, and essentially you got 2 years of waiting to finally play at the world stage like you were wanting to. So I'm sure they were happy to get there, and they put in great performances. So commend all of them, and I'm very happy to see the results that happen there.
Quick shout out to Adam in the chat. Thank you for the unicorn sticker. We appreciate that as always. He's always throwing something in the chat.
We're always a fan of any interactions in the chat there, especially sort of the stickers. We kind of have some fun ones there. If you ever do want to experiment with the stickers, it does support us, gives us a little bit of a donation. So if you ever wanting to put stickers in the chat, we would appreciate them as well. The one topic I wanted to sort of run by you, Daryl. So you sort of talked about at the beginning of the show, new countries or countries that we've never seen before coming to the World Championship. Like there was Sri Lanka. I've seen Pakistan in a couple events, but Pakistan, Switzerland, Sweden. So there's a bunch of countries that were in this event that I've never really seen before. That probably sort of a newer country to bowls. So I was wondering, kind of looking at how the event went for them, looked like it was pretty tough sledding, like a lot of lopsided games, things like that. I was wondering, with an event like this, do you think there's room sort of with the expansion of this championship where there was lots of teams that sort of signed up and there was lots of groups? Do you think there's potentially room for something like a tier 2 world championship, or potentially like a secondary event that can be played along with this championship, where maybe they play a couple of games, get sorted into groups or tiers, and then play each other off that way?
That's an interesting idea. I when you talk about stuff like this, I always think to some of the championships, whether it's national, international, whatever it is, and you've got some countries that have a tough time, regardless. And in a format like this, there's not a lot of time to get your bearings, or you can't drop a game and then you know learn a lesson and move it on to the next one. If you lose a game, you're probably out already. It's really, really, really tough. So what value is it to some of those countries? Are they learning enough to take back with them to get better? Is it just kind of a blowout and they go home and have to figure out, well, all these things went wrong. How do I fix it? Maybe a tier 2 event, something along those lines, where those that get knocked out still can get some games in against each other. At least get some games on the carpet if they don't have necessarily really good carpet all over their country. I would give this like a shout out to World Bowls and looking at a way to help those countries develop. But that's part of their role, is helping bowls develop across the world. And if we've got some of these countries that obviously don't have the facilities to do stuff necessarily at home, they don't have maybe the coaches, maybe the infrastructure, whatever it is, when they're here and they get knocked out or something like that, is there something there? Maybe you bring some coaches in to help them run some cool stuff and learn stuff if they want to. Offer them something on the side that they can take home, work on, and come back and hopefully do better the next time.
Yeah, it's sort of my thought process when I was asking this, because you see a couple of these teams and you go there for 3 games, 6 games if we count the mixed pairs. It could be a pretty quick event for you. You show up there, pay however much it is to get yourself to this event, and as you're saying, you maybe not even have your full bearings, everything like that. If you're someone who doesn't have an indoor green and you're essentially showing up maybe your first time, so that's where I wonder if a secondary event or something where they get a little more games out of it for being there halfway across the world, whatever it might be. So something that I don't know if it's ever really been entertained or thought about, but that's just sort of what I see with sort of the expansion years. We're starting to get enough teams that I wonder if something like that could potentially be entertained or maybe implemented, because it'd probably be a positive impact for some of these developing nations, where it might sort of motivate them to come there, try the first time in sort of this secondary or tier 2 event, and then maybe qualify or get their way up to the championship and be able to maybe hold their own a little better against some of the elite teams.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I'm surprised at those that made it into, the semifinals and the finals. Definitely high class players. Even though I hadn't heard of Gloria, when you were watching her play the way through, you knew that she could handle herself and she was doing just fine. So having Scotland there, whether it was Scotland, England, some of those countries that have a ton of indoor facilities around their country and play all the time. And obviously, we know some of these guys from the WBT as well, like Stuart Anderson and Julie Forrest are regulars on there. So, the advantage goes to those that play the most, and they obviously do, and they showed it. But I think you've got a good point where secondary event or something to help those developing countries, because they come there, they may not know what they're doing, they may not have a full understanding, but you've got some probably some high class coaches, players that can at least take them aside and talk them through some things, show them some things, and let them at least get the most out of that event and traveling all that way.
Yeah, it's even, I guess, if we're talking about WBT, that's even something that potentially could be expanded that direction, if you're saying it, because I know that's a detractor from a lot of the people who play in from outside of the UK, is you show up and you probably play your 1 game and then you're out and going back home and came all that way for potentially nothing. So potentially a secondary event or something that goes in sort of the background there might be an idea or a good thing to sort of, as you're saying, develop some skills or sort of hone any abilities that people might have, and then might even, I don't know, for WBT, get them some points or something like that, if that's sort of how they want to work it. But maybe just an idea for the future.
Yeah, it's these events are hardcore. I mean, that's all you can say about it. you could get knocked out. There's a lot of single elimination stuff going on, and for I'll lump Canada, United States, some of these other countries. We're kind of that mid tier. We don't play all the time. We don't have all the facilities. We don't have all the history and infrastructure that say like a UK does or a New Zealand or Australia does. And it's going to be a tough go for people going over there. So it's sometimes a tough sell with the one and done kind of format, right?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we got other stuff to move on to. I'll sort of let you lead the way there with the next topic.
All right. Commonwealth Games. Really, really cool. We got the announcement that the Commonwealth Games will be in Victoria, in Australia, in 2026. The lawn bowls will be at the Bendigo Lawn Bowling Club, and from what I've seen from the posts and from everybody talking about it, I've never been to the facility myself, so I mean I can't vouch for it, but it's apparently phenomenal. They're going to supposedly do a great job. Australia always does when it comes to bowls. I mean, the climate, the facilities, the infrastructure of bowls Australia. It's rare that they would ever have a bad time down there. So I'm excited to see it down there. They always do a great job. So congrats to Victoria, and we'll see you in 2026, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's great to see that it's going back to Australia. Like I know you've told me, and I've been able to see that the last Commonwealth Games that were there in 2018 went very well, and they're a great host. It's pretty much, I guess, the pinnacle or one of the top countries you can have for bowls. So it's good to see a bowls centered nation get it again, and we'll be hosting in 2026. It'll be another great championship there.
Yeah, absolutely. Australian Championships. Do you want to crack into that, Mike?
Sure. So other events that have sort of been going on here in the last couple of weeks was the Australian Championships just concluded. I guess it was a couple of days ago. So some results to share there. So for the women's singles, we had Bolivia Millerick winning the gold. We also had for the men's singles Blake Nairn winning the gold. So I watched a little bit of those live. They were pretty terrific games, honestly. Like all the way up to the finals, they were even great games you could watch. So it was good to see those results. For the women's fours, we had Claire Sanders, Lorene Smith, Anna Miles, and Kylie Whitehead win the gold. So that was good to see that one as well. And for the men's fours, there was Paul Sinden, Adam Graham, Anthony Einfeld, and Mark Maisel. So that was, again, good results across the board there. And oddly, a little Canadian content here for the mixed pairs. So we got Kelly McCarahan and Ali Forsyth won the gold in the mixed pairs. In the women's pairs, we had Cass Millerick and Kelsey Cottrell winning gold. And then for the men's pairs, it was Aaron Sheriff and Sean Ingham winning gold. So pretty terrific event or sort of championships there, obviously. And it was obviously cool to see a little Canadian content, someone we both are pretty familiar with, and Kelly getting the mixed pairs title there with Ali.
Yeah, that was cool. Seeing them, sledding along during the championships, and they were doing really well. To finally see them crack through and win that was really cool. Known Kelly for a long time, so it's always good to see Canadian that's living down there do so well, and she's been doing well down there. So congrats, Kelly. And Ali. Yeah. I should say congrats, Ali, too. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess there's two members of that team. You can't just factor Kelly being the winning force on all the time, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's great to see the results, and it's nice that the nationals and everything are starting to go off kind of back to a normal, semi-normal compared to the last couple of years here. So we actually have some results and things to talk about, which is great. Nice Commonwealth Games coming up here. Just over 2 months from now. We've got some movement, or I guess some teams the teams that haven't finalized their rosters are starting to kind of move towards doing that. So I think Australia is going over to England. Is it in the next couple of weeks here for a sort of a test series, which is going to be kind of used to select their team for that upcoming Commonwealth Games? Is that right?
Yeah, I think no, yeah, I don't know the exact dates, but I think I saw some posts about people, heading over already. So it'll be soon that they're over there doing their UK tour and checking things out and getting their practice in for sure.
Yep. And then I think we also got Team Canada next week has a camp in Windsor, where I guess that's going to be used to sort of finalize our Canadian team for Commonwealth Games as well.
That's right. We'll be heading down to Windsor Lawn Bowling Club to run the camp. It'll run for a week. We're having everybody over that's on the senior and development squad. There's a few that'll miss for various reasons, and that can't be avoided, whether it's travel or work or some other stuff. But mostly everybody will be down there. They'll be playing and doing stuff that we haven't done in over 2 years, which is really cool. We'll be, oh man, the planning around that has been interesting with all the provincial and local, stuff going on with COVID and things easing, and then who knows what's going to happen. You're always kind of making plan B and plan C, but looks like everything's going to go really well. I think some people are already starting to come over. I think I saw a post from Leanne Chinnery, who's on the national squad, that she's coming over a little early to see some family, because obviously she's Canadian, so she wanted to come a little early, see some people, and then come down to Windsor. And people can come down and watch. The interaction will be a little bit limited because we're trying to keep people in a bubble. We have international bowlers there, so we want to keep them safe, and we don't want to jeopardize their their ability to get back home as quickly as possible, whether it's Australia or New Zealand or wherever it is. So I'm excited, definitely.
Yeah, it's actually going to be interesting the point you made there, where you haven't seen these people in probably over 2 years, or watched them lawn bowl in probably almost 3 years. So it's a little interesting, I guess, for you as a coach. But almost going to be like an information overload, where you're going to be seeing these people and what sort of happened with them over the last few years, development or potentially regression. Even be kind of cool for you, I imagine.
Yeah, I know some people or some players have had the opportunity to play, whether it's because their province had a few more openings or their clubs were able to open a little bit more. Some not so much. Obviously, those from Australia, someone like a Kelly, who is in probably the state that locked down the most. It's nice to see that she's actually been able to play and get out there, and then you've got some players in Queensland, like Ryan, who got to play a lot, and it really looked like it didn't affect them way too much. So it's going to be interesting when they come over to see who's doing well, who's struggling, where they are after 2 years. And I know that they've been trying their best to keep up, whether it was in the winter and finding stuff to do. But I guess this week is when the rubber hits the road, and we'll see what actually happens, right?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see whatever happens over the span of the week, and then sort of who actually gets named to our Commonwealth squad, because that's obviously the big thing coming up here pretty much right away. So I assume fairly soon after that camp concludes, we'll have an announcement to probably have on the show here of whoever's sending, or whoever Bowls Canada's sending to the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, that'll be really neat to see. I'm nervous for it. I mean, being on the selection squad, I've been on both sides. Obviously, I've been a player and a selector, and I stress out a lot more about being a selector, because you want to do the right thing. You want to give people the fair chance, and you want to see everything, but you can't see everybody at every moment. So some have really good ends or moments or games, and you don't get to see them because you're with another group, and vice versa. You see a bad end and you don't see a good end. It's so tough because you want to be fair to everybody, and it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, I don't pity you one bit. That's that's one position I don't think I'm gonna ever really sign up for, is sort of that selector, because it's such a hard position to sometimes be, I guess, object or be as fair as you want, and even if you're fair, sometimes it doesn't come across as fair to other people. So pretty thankless job where unfortunately it happens, but someone has to do it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably the same for every country where you've got a handful of selectors going out there and looking, and not every selector is going to agree. Some see shots differently, some see strategy a little different. So you're going to get some differing opinions, but I think the idea is for the players to go out there, put out their best. Not focus on that, but focus on putting their best foot forward out on the green, and then it's up to us as selectors to really work together to fill in all the gaps and make sure we've got everything covered, and we give everybody the fair shot that they deserve. So
should be a fun next little while. In the chat there, we got Adam with a few different comments talking about how he's going to be passing his umpire course soon. So
awesome.
I feel you. I feel you on that one. I'm in the same boat here in Canada. I got 2/3 of my umpire certification completed, and I have to do the on green practical stuff. So it's actually cool to be able to go out and do stuff again where I'm able to actually maybe get certified finally as an umpire. And I guess coaching for me, I've got the last step of my coaching certification to get done this year too. So it's actually going to be exciting to look forward to a normal summer where I'm able to go to the club and sort of do whatever I want to do, like a normal Bulls year again.
Yeah, I'm excited for you because I know before the pandemic hit, I had a couple scheduled kind of trips or weekends where I was supposed to run coaching courses. So the different levels, we have courses that we give about bowls, and those never happened. And obviously they didn't happen over the last 2 years. So I helped with an introductory level club coach online thing with Jake from BCB, and it was awesome. It was the first thing I had done in so long as a facilitator, as someone teaching. It was just really, really good to get back in it, and the people were awesome. And I think they were just so happy that they were finally able to do it. And I hope that for you, Mike, and for you, Adam, that things go really well, and we get thumbs up that you passed and that you're umpires.
Say maybe we'll just like sweep it under the rug if we don't get it. So we'll kind of glaze past the fact that we didn't pass if it doesn't work out.
We'll just edit this out later from the show.
Just 2 minutes of music or something like that where we don't have to know what was being talked about. Yeah, I guess the other thing that's nice with the weather sort of warming up here, you can probably expect some more content coming from us here in the coming weeks. We unfortunately, with snow, it doesn't really help when you're trying to make a lawn bowls video or go to your club and use a green or something like that to make a video. So should expect some content coming here in the next little while, because I know Daryl's got a few things cooking. I think I have a few different ideas as well. So keep an eye out for that, because there'd probably be some new stuff coming out here in the fairly near future.
Yeah, I'm excited. Things are warming up. I mean, yesterday was beautiful, and then I went out today to just sort out some garbage, and it was so cold. It was so cold, and I was so disappointed. I'm like, just let's get on that hot streak and get the greens open, and I can go out and record and get some of those videos out, because it was so fun doing the videos that we have out there. But it's been, I want to say, like 6+ months since I put out the coaching videos, and Mike's been filling in the gaps with a ton of great content. If you haven't checked it out on our site, he's got a bunch of great stuff that came out. So if we can get on the ball and do some of that stuff, we can really start churning out some good content for you guys.
Yeah, it's weird to sort of think about the weather. Like Saskatchewan, I think we had one of the most snow that we've had in probably about 15 years. So I had a very bad winter here, and then we proceeded to have one of the coldest springs I think we've ever had. So like my front lawn literally had snow until yesterday. Oof. And we've had a couple 10-degree days of good weather the last couple of days, so it's all gone as of yesterday. But that shows you what type of spring we're having here, where I think it's still going to be a couple of weeks before we're even thinking about maybe having our greens ready, which is a bit unfortunate because I think we have like our open house and everything with my clubs scheduled. But we're in Saskatchewan, we expect it, and we'll make do. Got Adam in the chat there, sort of going into the greens, that he's a greenskeeper, sort of giving us his background, which is level 4 greenskeeper. So interesting. Cool. No, that's it. I like the input in the chat because we always see you in the chat there, Adam. And don't know if Daryl and me have ever met you, but it's always cool to sort of learn the background of people. That if we got a greenskeeper and someone trying to get the umpire certification, we're always loving to interact with anyone we can. And I get to know from, well, it looks like I'm going to take it you're Australian because you usually have the kangaroo in your emojis. So, but thanks for interactions. We always enjoy seeing what you have to say.
Yeah, for everybody out there, the chat is there for you to use to interact with us. We do interact with it. Even on our videos, if you leave a comment, we will respond if there's a question in there or whatever. We appreciate everybody interacting with us because it helps the show go along. If you have questions, if you have comments, it helps feed us with discussion as well, because you never know. There's a lot more of you out there than there are of us sitting right here. So sometimes the great ideas come from chat, and you don't have to listen to us talk about our own thoughts and feelings all the time, right?
Yep. So reading our notes, did we have anything more that you wanted to cover here today, Daryl?
Not specifically from events. I wanted to really ask you, with spring coming, and obviously, I didn't expect to say, like, now that the snow is gone from your front yard so recently, what are you looking forward to this year, coming up for bowls, because it's starting to kick off?
I'm looking forward to playing bowls for one. Pretty much the last 2 years I've done very little bowls, like played in a couple tournaments type of thing each year, but that was about it. And I'm going to play in provincials this year, hopefully qualify for nationals, which would be a fun experience. So that's just something to look forward to again. And I'm going to probably get back to my normal training regime that I do a couple of weeks from now and sort of prepare for that.
Nice.
Then I'm also going to come out to Ontario for WOBA, my favorite bowls tournament. WOBA is an absolutely terrific lawn bowls tournament in Ontario every July. I came out to it for probably about 4 years when I was in my early 20s, and I haven't been there for a good 5 or 6 years. So I'm making my return to WOBA, which is pretty awesome to say because I love that tournament, and every time I can really make it work, I will make it work. So this year I'm going to be able to make it work, and I'm excited to really go out there and see everyone again because it's been probably a good 2 or 3 years, as we've talked about, where I haven't seen a lot of these people that I quite enjoy seeing for about 3 years. What do you got planned, Daryl?
I was debating back and forth whether I was gonna to really dive back into playing, or I was going to circle back and go hardcore into coaching, and I think chosen to do the coaching route. So I won't be playing that much. I'll go into my favorite events when I can. Obviously, I will be going to the Commonwealth Games more than likely. So I won't be able to do some of the events that are right in the middle of the summer. But I hope to be there. I hope to be streaming a bunch and trying to get this channel some live streams of events and games and tournaments that are really, really cool around Canada. Get that exposure and develop some coaching stuff. So I want to get out there and start coaching players again, start doing stuff at my club and in my region, and see if I can really help out in that regard, because I haven't done that for a couple of years, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you had that discussion about what you're going to end up doing this year, and it unfortunately kind of does turn into the coaching because the timing of Commonwealth Games, if you do end up ending out there, it's kind of unfortunate where you'd miss, well, WOBA. You're going to Daryl just conveniently isn't in Ontario when I'm actually going to be in Ontario. So that's pretty tremendous that I make this trip to go see my friend in Ontario and he's just ignoring me and leaving. Must have been something I said, but no, it's good that you're able to get out there, and the streaming of the events is going to be awesome. Like Phoenix, we streamed last year, and Phoenix is a terrific event. Phoenix Bowls Championship. If you're not a part of it, haven't taken part of it, you want to try it, get out there and do it. It's awesome. And I'm excited that event's going to be running again this year and sort of have the lead up to the main one there later in the season. It's going to be great again.
Just on that note, for those that are watching this either now or later that are from other provinces in Canada, such as yourself, Mike, um, please, if you're interested in it and you see it and you think it's kind of a cool idea, reach out to Rob Gallipo. He posts stuff on Facebook all the time from the Phoenix Bulls Championship page, but ask him about the format, ask him about what he's doing, and I would really love to see pockets of these events pop up in other provinces that would lead to a final in Ontario or wherever you want to hold a grand final, because that would be really, really cool if this got really big.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the dream down the line is to have it spread across Canada, and I know it's something that I would entertain trying to spearhead here in Saskatchewan. So I guess maybe I should take your advice and contact Rob and see if I can get something going here and just try it out, because it's a fun format that really is only available in Ontario at this point. So maybe I should maybe do something like that, because there is a solid contingent of people who do play competitively out here in Saskatchewan.
And also for those in Canada, when Mike talks about WOBA, it is a great event. I can remember back to some of my first days playing when I actually played with Mike's brother John. When I didn't know really who John was, never talked to him that much, and I still during that event I don't think I talked to him that much. I just played. And recently, what got me thinking about that is Mike sent me a picture of the two of us. We were on the national team together, and we're in a picture standing side by side, and we didn't say a word to each other. It's pretty incredible where we've come.
Yeah, me and you back in the day were both very quiet people. If you ever meet us in real life, we're very introverted, the both of us. So it doesn't actually shock me that the two of us wouldn't have been the best of friends or spoke to each other all that much, because we're not very bubbly, outgoing people in person. So it doesn't shock me that it took a year of us getting to know each other on the internet and playing video games and doing a podcast together. And now I'm sure for in person, we'll talk a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Is that it? Is that all we got planned for today, I think?
I think so. It's a shorter show than normal. We don't have an interview. We're actually ramping up some interviews for you guys, some really good ones that we think you'll like. Adam's blowing up the chat.
Yeah, he's got a few other posts there, sort of saying that he's from West Australia, so that's good clarification for us. And then it's saying he got some autographs when the Tri Nations were out there in 07. Okay. And then also he's talking about corporate bowlers, an evolving format. Interesting. We might have to further question Adam about that, sort of what he's talking about with these different formats. We always like hearing about the different formats or different ways people are attracting corporate bowls, things like that. So thanks for the interaction there, Adam.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, I guess if that's it, another reminder to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. And if you're not able to catch us live, can get us on YouTube after the fact. And we also do the podcast thing usually within the week of the show. So with that, may all your bowls be touchers.